Good evening. This is Life Pilot, Captain Pete. Checklist to success. We talk about checklist to success, but do we have a checklist in an emergency situation in our personal lives? Do we monitor our health with a checklist? Do we eat with a checklist? Do we have social interactions with a checklist? That's probably the most important thing, to go back to a basic um, list that you can provide to someone in times of need. For instance, if you become sick, you can go to the doctor. You've got all your doctor's phone numbers written down. You've got the copies of your previous visits with them, so you can hand it to the doctor so he can look to help him facilitate an illness. Checklists are very important, especially to give the physician uh, a little bit of a head start towards what he needs to do. Do you know your blood type? Do you know what your average blood pressure is? Do you know what your average heart rate is? Do you know what your glucose level is? All these things we take for granted are involuntary functions. What's an involuntary function? Well, right now I'm doing a voluntary function. I'm speaking with you. But involuntarily, I don't have to think about my brain, my eyes, my breathing, all that blood vessels, the digestion of my food. That's involuntary. Voluntary? Well, that's where we function in life and move through life with other people and in the environment. So, voluntary is going to college and learning. Voluntarily is expanding your horizon on what's happening in the world, reading, watching. So your checklist to success probably not only professional, but has to encompass your personal welfare. Because when you do get sick or you do need emergency treatment, there has to be a file or a folder someplace that you've created. And this is important. And it's also important because it's a basis for monitoring your health. Do you sleep well? If you haven't been sleeping, why? Maybe there's an underlying cause. If you worry, one of the most important things someone's told me, if you take all your worries and put them in a glass and put the glass on the windows sill, then you can sleep. Tomorrow your worries will be there, and if they're important, you'll pick that glass up. We worry and worry as humans. Over 90% of the things that we worry about never occur. Well, obviously we're on the video here, but recently I turned the TV off, meaning that I don't watch live TV or live news. I do get my news, but not live. And I don't leave it on all day, or I didn't leave it on all day. But before you go to bed, turning on the news, well, in the world situation, if you look, it's not so great. Most of the news is negative, and it's about problems in the world. From your living room, from your seat, from your hotel room, from your car, can you change any of those problems? No. So if you take care of yourself and the other people take care of themselves, collectively, a community will, or a neighborhood, let's collectively the neighborhood, your block will take care of itself. And then if you add 10 blocks, a district, then if you add another multitude for the city, will take care of itself. And then all the other cities, the state will take care of itself. And the states, they will take care of themselves to make the country great. And the country will unify with other countries to make themselves great. So basically, watching the news, number one, it's sensationalism. Number two, the person that's reporting the news, he only cares about his own ego and himself. I don't care what news you watch. whether it's the BBC, the Moscow News, the people are on there are meant to get you with a hook you to the end. Have you ever noticed in a local news story, they tell you, we've got this great story and it's about your health. And you keep watching and watching and watching, and then finally, in the last minute, they talk about it and show it. They've kept your attention to listen to all their news, give them a rating, and at the end, they give you maybe 60 seconds of what you listened to. So you wasted a half an hour. You've got commercials, you've been advertised to, you've been convinced that you have to watch them to get the news. You've been convinced that they're honestly reporting it. Maybe they are honestly reporting it, but most of these people get their news from other sources. Are the sources correct? So with your health, let's go back to that. That doctor needs the most correct resources. And you and your relationship with your internist are the most important relationships you can have. Because he knows you, he follows you. Just like with your dentist. I get teeth cleaning every 3 months. Why? Because if there's something that goes wrong, I can catch it before it turns into a huge problem. Huge. Most people suffer from dental problems, gum problems. Viruses pass through the mouth to the heart. People die from this. They need heart surgeries, transplants. I'm not saying that you should go through life fearful, but have a checklist. Every 3 months, go see your dentist and get a cleaning. If you're not satisfied, someone else. If you can't call your doctor and come in the same day because of an emergency problem, I'm not saying to be a hypochondriac, but come in. You know your health, and give him the facts. The doctor is looking to make a diagnosis. What's a great doctor? Someone that makes a diagnosis. What's a great pilot? Well, the checklist helps, but he's making a diagnosis. Can he do this? Is it within his skill level? Now, I haven't flown for 3 months because of the coronavirus. Is it my skill level right now to land 0-0 and not see the runway? Probably not. Am I a good pilot? Yeah, you're damn right I am. Today, am I as good as I was? No, I'm not in practice. 3 months with not a landing? Put me in some bad weather? Yeah, I can make it. I can be successful, but I don't have the finesse that I had. I need to practice it a little bit. So you have to go through the checklist, and a checklist for your health, checklist for your financial, checklist for your family, checklist for your children, checklist for your car. Just take notes. They're almost like those sticky notes, but instead on the checklist, when do I change the oil? When do I check the tires? Every time I go flying, I check the oil and I check the tire pressure. Why have a blowout or an engine fire in the middle of rush hour or in 80-mile-per-hour traffic? It's completely dangerous. So checklist to success here, Life Pilot, yes, I've used it, and every single aspect of my life has been a checklist. I make a list, health-wise, what I need to do, and when I have to go see the doctor. And if I deviate from that, it's because I really don't feel bad. Same thing with financial. If you look in day trade, yeah, there's just some people that make it, but there's a lot of other people that don't make it. Probably for every guy that makes it, there's 100 that don't, and they lose everything. Value investing. What is that? Well, it's not from CNBC News with some guy that's a billionaire telling it to you. If you won't buy the product, why would you invest in the company? The same thing. You need to invest time in yourself with the checklist. Take care of yourself, you'll be able to take care of your family. Your family requires a checklist. Your wife requires a checklist. Your girlfriend, if you're not married, requires a checklist. They want to be taken care of. They need certain requirements. You need certain requirements. They're all checklists. They come inherent. But for your health, if something happens and you're incapacitated, and you need an emergency, you need to have this checklist. Even if you have one of those, if you're older and have one of these things that go around your neck that you hit and the police come and the ambulance to save you. Without that checklist, all they know is your name, if they're lucky, your address. If you can't speak, they look at the address and see who lives there. That's how they find your name. It'd be nice to have a folder and nice to have a friend that you can give their telephone number to, then call and say, hey, I know where his folder is. Let me get it for you. So that's the gist tonight. The checklist is success. It concerns your health. It concerns your relationships. It concerns your spiritual relationships. It concerns everything. Worry is not part of the problem. Worry can be a problem. Worry can cause more problems. The reality is, worry has no place in your life, a checklist. And what someone says, really, if you get this on the news at 10 o'clock at night, how's it going to affect your sleep? Sleep's an important thing. It's just like food. Movement, thought,